On November 26, 1930, the front page of Canada's The Meet-In Daily Journal carried a terrifying headline, "Village of the Dead." The article told of a mysterious Eskimo tribe, an entire community of over 100 people, vanishing overnight from the remote shores of Lake Anjikuni with no signs of struggle, no warning, and no trace left behind. This is honestly one of the most unsettling disappearances in Canadian history, and despite a century passing, no one truly knows what happened. In November 1930, a seasoned fur trapper named Joe LaBelle was making his way through the frozen wilderness of northern Canada. The cold was biting, and as night fell faster than expected, he decided to seek shelter in a nearby village he had visited before. It was a quiet community nestled by Lake Anjikuni, home to the Eskimo tribe. Known for their hospitality, Joe had always found warmth, food, and stories around their fires. But this night was different. As Joe approached the village, something felt wrong. There were no voices, no barking dogs, no crackling fires, just silence, an unnatural, suffocating silence. He reached the edge of the village and saw something chilling, smoke rising from some of the chimneys. Fires were still burning, yet not a single person was in sight. Joe checked tent after tent. Not a soul, no struggle, no mess. In one, he found a pot of food burned black on the fire. Someone had started cooking and then disappeared. In another tent, a sewing needle still pierced through fabric, thread dangling mid-stitch. It was as if people had dropped everything and just vanished. Even more disturbing were the sled dogs, still tied up. Dead from starvation, yet untouched food lay near them. Joe, now gripped by fear, found a freshly dug grave as if someone had been buried recently. But no signs pointed to where the mourners had gone. The tribe had simply ceased to exist. Panicked, Joe fled the village and rushed to the nearest telegraph office. He contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and reported what he'd seen. What came next only deepened the mystery. When the RCMP arrived, they confirmed everything Joe had said. The village was empty. The fires were smoldering. The dogs were dead. The grave was real. But there was one detail that sent chills through the officers. There were no footprints. Fresh snow covered the entire village, yet the only footprints found were Joe's. No one had left. No one had come. If the villagers had walked off into the wilderness, where were their tracks? The lake nearby was frozen solid. No broken ice, no drag marks, no sign that anyone had crossed it. Even the tribe's canoes were still stacked by the shore. It was impossible. Weeks passed. The RCMP conducted an extensive search through miles of tundra. They found nothing. No bodies, no tools, no trail. Eventually, they closed the case, labeling it unsolved, and left the mystery buried beneath the snow. So, decades later, in 1984, two writers, Roger Bohr and Nigel Blundell, traveled up to the Anjikuni area to investigate. While they were there, they met a local hunter and his sons. The hunter claimed he'd seen strange lights hovering over the lake, lights that shifted shape, lights that always seemed to fly toward the old village site. The writers, well, they theorized the unthinkable: aliens. Could an alien presence have abducted the entire tribe? Could that explain the clean disappearance, the lack of footprints, the half-finished meals, and the untouched dogs? They had no hard evidence, but the mystery just fit perfectly into the narrative of otherworldly abduction. Still, most folks dismissed it as fantasy, just another attempt to explain the unexplainable. To this day, nobody knows what happened to the Eskimo tribe of Anjikuni Lake. 100 years later, the forest has taken back the village, but the question still haunts Canada's icy north. How can 100 people disappear without a sound, without a struggle, without a single trace? And maybe more importantly, could it happen again?